Hey, backwoods wisdom for in a modern world. So what am I talking about? You're living your life, I'm living my life, and that's where we're headed with today. So welcome to Goose Pond Hideout, and I'm Rob, and we're out here in the front yard by the pond here, and it's really sunny today. Nice to be outside. Got a little bit of a breeze, so hopefully that won't make it hard for you to hear here. But I want to share with you, you know, some thinking that I've been having about, we're all individuals. I'm living my life and I share my life, my thoughts and opinions and things with you. But it's not because I want you to live my life. I don't want you to be like me. That's probably the last thing that you want to be, is to be like me, right? Because we all got our problems, right? My life may appear to be perfect to you through the lens of the camera, but there are certainly things going on in my life, and you don't want that happening to you, right? So learn from what I'm doing. Don't be like me, learn from me. So we're all a product of our upbringing and our past. And to go ahead and share a little bit with you is things like my dad passed away when I was really young, like 4 years old or so. And so my mom was a single mom for a number of years, and she worked really hard. So I was pretty much on my own, and my grandparents, stepped in, and so I spent a lot of time with my grandma and my grandpa. And so my grandma and my grandpa were a big influencer on my life because I was probably either at school or, staying with them because my mom was working, right? Had to, be able to pay the rent and buy food and all that good stuff. So I spent a lot of time, growing up with my grandparents. And my grandfather didn't even go to high school. Back in his day, the boys had to go to work as soon as they, were like 12, 13 years old. So I'm not even sure if he finished 8th grade or not, but I know he didn't go to high school. And then he worked hard, and then he moved, and he worked in a big factory. I believe they made furniture there. So he worked in a factory, and then he started a business on the side. And of course, by the time I came along, being a grandkid, his business was already going pretty well. So, my role model was a man that didn't go to high school, worked in a furniture factory, and in his spare time, started up and was running a business. And I spent all my time, because it was outside, so that's I sort of grew up in that business from the time I was a little boy, 4 or 5 years old, and of course I went to school. And that's the life that I've experienced. But your life is probably completely 180 degrees difference. What your parents did when you were growing up, how interactive you were with grandparents, were you in a city? Ooh, you okay, Bonnie? Did you hurt your foot? She likes to dig, and evidently she got tender toes. But yeah, so your life, the way you've grown up is completely different than the way that I've grown up. And so that your journey in life is different than my journey. And I don't want you to live my life, but the biggest factor that I try to share with you is I want you to be in control of your life. That's I talk about homesteading, I talk about moving to the country, we lived on a sailboat. What I'm really sharing with you through my journey is I want you to be in control of your journey. I want you to be driving the bus of your life. You deciding, wherever you want to live. A lot of people, if you're from New York City and you've never hunted or fished or camped or hiked or, anything like that, it's probably kind of foolish for you to say, hey, I think I'm going to go live out on 10 acres in the middle of no man's land and live off grid. It's going to be a hard lesson, and it's going to be kind of an into the wild sort of a thing, going to Alaska. So that's not what I'm talking about at all. If that's the journey you want, you take one step at a time, and you move along through life like that, and you do what's best for you. You okay, Bonnie? Did you hurt your foot? So I hope you enjoy, me sharing my path with you, and that the path that you want to take for yourself, and my journey's my journey, your journey's your journey. And if you want to be homesteading, if you want to have a garden, if you want to learn to do something, that's great. Because as we've discussed previously, the world is kind of in a mess right now, and we need to be prepared to live in the modern world, to have the internet, to have electricity, to have running water, to have stock shelves at the grocery store. I like those things too, but in a job where you get, you earn money or whatever. But what happens if some of those things, tomorrow they go away? What happens if you go to the grocery store and the shelves are empty? What happens if you come home from grocery shopping and the electricity is off? What happens if whatever, you go to work on Monday morning and the doors are locked and it says, we're closed until further notice? What are you going to do? That's what I want you to be thinking about. My goal is for you to just be prepared to deal with whatever course correction you have to make in life, because you can get to where you want to go, but you might have to, change direction a little bit and to get to that path. It may not be as straight from point A to point B as we all want it to be. We may have to zigzag all over the place to get where that we want to go. So, that's my thinking, and you live your life, and I hope you enjoy me sharing what's gone on in my life to be helpful to help you decide where you want to go with your life. Don't be me, learn from me. And that's the thing. So we're here at Goose Pond. Oh, we got some gooses in the yard. Yep, this way. You can see the gooser over there walking around, and Bonnie's over there on the other side of the pond nursing her hurt foot, so I'm gonna have to go check that out and see if I need to do anything. Yeah, good girl, Bonnie. How's your foot? Roof, roof. So, that's your journey, my journey, everybody's journey, because it's all about freedom. Freedom! Be free in your life.